We said at the beginning of the year that it made sense to be more diversified, and international was certainly a key part of diversifying, and Europe was a big part of that. So as we talk about the second half of the year, the mid where we are right now, and think about the first half of the year, it'd be remiss not to take a peek at two charts. This is the first one, and we've named this the Valley of Uncertainty. And as we can all see, the S&P 500 is up roughly 5 or 6% for the year. The bulk of which of that came just in the second half of June. And there was so much uncertainty, as you can see in the first quarter, that we dropped 15% from January through early April. Investors always need to be prepared. Just because the market's down 15% doesn't necessarily mean it won't go down another 15%, which is kind of what it looked like was going to happen in April as we went into May and June. If we look at the bond market, this is kind of, who would have guessed that the bond market would be so steady, but that's what we call this surprisingly steady. And it's really kind of flattish for the year. It's up, year to date, it's up about 1.5%. Not a lot of volatility in spite of all the concerns about the economy and the dollar and trading. The Europe was by far the best performer, followed by MSCI ACWI minus the US, and low vol, which is conservative. But then you had all the small and mid cap and growth, and the S&P 500 were all negative for the first quarter. And then you kind of roll into the second quarter, and you see a huge move at the bottom of this, so that all the growth stuff had a huge recovery in the second quarter. And then if you say, okay, what if we combine the two of those together, you get kind of really what's worked. And what hasn't worked has been the small and the mid cap, either down or flat. But we've had all of a sudden a decent year in international and technology. We continue to think that looking for ways to pick up more asset classes and at the same time lower the risk of a portfolio continues to make sense.